What's today's number? There it is. What number is it? 14! Right! 14 is the number of the day!
Hey kids, I've been outside the school, crying and whining, hoping you'd show up, but you didn't. And I know you missed me, and you wanted to see your fourth favorite history teacher at some point. So I figured I'd start to do some things here from home. So what I want to do is this. I want you to think about review and getting ready for the readings exam. So we're not going to continue on with China where we were. What we're going to do is go back and we're going to take a look at the stuff that we've already done. So I'm going to try to give you some of those things, hopefully in a way that's halfway entertaining, so you'll want to watch the next one. So I have some great things lined up for you today. You see today's show is brought to you by the number 14. You're going to see that. We got a commercial coming in here. You're going to love it, kids. You're going to love it. So what I'm hoping to do is this. If you could get out a pen and paper and just take every day a few notes. There's maybe going to be maybe up to 10 vocab words, words like watermelon that we want to put down and that we want to know. So today I think there's only like 4 or 5. So if we write those words down, you're going to see them pop up here and just kind of remembering our vocab and the things that we've done. So I'm going to start all the way back in the things that we did in September so that when we get back to school, we don't have to focus so much on the review part. We can finish out what we missed a little bit maybe in China, World War II, and things like that. So what I want to do today is I want to start today going all the way back thinking about absolutism. And that's a big word like watermelon. And you know that absolutism is, of course, the idea that a monarch, which is a king or queen, who has absolute control over their people. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what that means as we go through today. Something to think about. Last year when you learned with Mr. Deneen, you learned that the Catholic Church was the power in the Middle Ages. And then when the Catholic Church begins to lose power, it's going to be these kings, it's going to be these monarchs that are going to fill that power void. So I want to focus on that today and what I think is our best example of that a little bit later on with Louis the 14th. Get it? The 14th. Super funny. One of the other things I want to think about today too for a vocab word is divine right. We just got done talking about China and the mandate of heaven, which I told you that funny joke about. But then now we're back to Europe. So the idea of divine right, which is that you rule because God has given you that right to rule. I thought the best way to show you divine right would be to take a look at a conversation with the Barbies.
Susie, I want to do a TikTok dance. I want to do one too. What one do you want to do? I want to do a TikTok dance called The Renegade. Well, I want to do a TikTok dance called So What? I don't care what you want to do. I want to do the Renegade. So I can do this move. And that move. We're going to do it 'Cause I'm in charge. Why do you get to be in charge, Janet? You shouldn't be in charge. I'm in charge because I have divine right. You sit on that cooler. Why do you get to tell us what to do? Because God gave me the right to rule. I have absolute power, so we're gonna do the renegade. Renegade, renegade.
Wait.
Renegade, renegade,
Wait.
renegade, renegade.
Are you sick of going to the store and finding no toilet paper? Well, we have the solution for you. It's made of grass so you can wipe your...
Best example of an absolute monarch, of course, remember, is Louis XIV. Smile. Most of you might remember his legs in this picture because he has those sweet pantyhose on. But Louis XIV was able to dictate everyone's life in France. So you had to be Catholic and you had to go through and adhere to what he wanted. So if you remember, he also built the Palace of Versailles, which you saw behind me before. And he had people living with him at Versailles so that he could keep an eye on them. So the idea of an absolute monarch is, we really use the idea of religion to, most folks were Catholic at the time, they believed in God, and that God chose Louis XIV to be the ruler, so whatever he said is pretty much what you had to do. So he's our best example of it, but you might see some other kind of questions that deal with an absolute monarch, and it doesn't really matter which one it is. It could be Henry VIII from last year too, but any one of those, it doesn't really matter. The idea is that they get to make the rules and they get to be the ones that dictate everyone's lives. It's kind of like a modern day totalitarian dictator, but back then it was a monarch. Remember, king or queen is a monarch. The idea too, inside of Versailles, in the stuff that Louis got to do, remember he kept people entertained. Always had balls and plays and operas that people would be doing to entertain people, because if you're entertained, then you can't have a revolution, you can't overthrow them. So that's something that he thought about a lot in keeping control of his people.
What? That's not 14.
Not 14?
No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pigs.
Oh no! No 14!
Whoa. Me 14.
You 14!
Me 14.
We 14!
Yadabo. 14. Chicky.
14!
Hold it!
What?
That's not 14 either.
14?
No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 chickens.
That's not 14.
Oh no!
That's not 14.
Hey, two-head, don't cry.
No 14.
Just add the animals together.
And?
Add.
7 piggy
It's about 7 chicky
equal
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 animals all together.
14!
14.
So kids, one of the things that we can think about vocab-wise that we might see with Louis XIV, remember that he called himself the Sun King, so that everything revolved around the sun, everything revolved around him at Versailles and in France. And something that we might see for a vocab word is centralizing power. Remember that centralizing power means that you're bringing the power underneath yourself or one entity. In this case, it's one person. It's Louis XIV. So I think if we can keep those in mind for today, in where absolute monarchs all over Europe were kind of ruling, that will get us into a good spot tomorrow. We start to see that change with the Enlightenment. Kids, what we're going to do, I'm going to try to do every day, is to give you some sort of task so that can keep us up with our vocab and things that we're going to do. So I want you to remember social, economic, and political. Those 3 words we started with on day 1, and we have to remember all the way through this course. So what I wanted to try to do is to have you remember, number 1, that social deals with how we live, right? How things around us occur and what we do in our everyday lives. So how we interact with other people, things like that, is social. Political is how we're governed, right? So how our leaders act, how they do things. So in absolutism, political was Louis XIV. Whatever he wanted, that's what happened. And then economic. Remember how we make our money, how we live our lives, how we do the jobs we do in order to get money, in order to put food on our table. So here's what we're going to do. As we go through these segments, each day I'm going to give you an activity to do. And what I'd like you to do is on the classroom, no, what's it called? Google Classroom, I'm right. Scratch that part, ready?
Yeah.
So what I'd like you to do is on the classroom, give me back these answers. I'm going to check them. And every time you do one of these assignments, you're going to get a sticker. I'm keeping a sticker chart for every kid all the way through. And when we get back to school, if I owe you 20 stickers, you're getting 20 stickers. So today's activity, what I'd like you to do is go out right now and figure out, current day, what are some political changes we've seen or political news that you can see, some social news or social changes, that's easy, here we are doing this education, and then also some economic news. If you could give me 3 or 4 sentences, don't go crazy, on political, social, or economic changes that have happened in the last couple weeks, and send that to me on Classroom. I'll keep a chart, and I will make sure that you get your stickers when we get back. Kids, that's all for today. I want you to keep track of your notes. Just run that. Maybe if you have a notebook, keep those going every single day. Again, we're not going to do more than 10 things that we have to write down, but you'll have those, kind of keep our brains going for review. If you do the sticker activities, I'm going to keep track of that as well. Kids, I want you to know 2 things. 1, I love you, and 2, it's going to be okay. Yep. Now, here's a little ditty from my band.